Hi, I'm Bertha Barrett.
And I'm Jules Jean Pierre, and we're the host of Intake Talk Show.
One of the goals of Intake in between episodes is to provide you all with information and tips on how to maintain mental wellness. So today we want to talk to you about
Seasonal affective disorder. So, seasonal affective disorder is basically depression during seasonal times, and we happen to be in a seasonal time where we have a couple of holidays that are coming up. So, we just wanted to share some tips with you in regards to how you can maintain your mental wellness during these times.
with seasonal affective disorder, there are two things that are fighting against us. So there's the winter that is kicking in, and then there's daylight savings time, which makes the days much shorter. So it gets darker quicker. One of the things we do as professionals when we have clients who are having depressive symptoms, we normally tell them to go outside, walk into the sun to help with their moods. The problem with this during the winter time is sunlight is much less, and so that in itself can affect one's mood and makes you feel, lack of energy
Yeah.
and much sadder. And this becomes significantly important if it affects your everyday living.
Yeah. You might have a tendency to isolate and go indoors just because the sun's not out, and daylight saving times has adjusted that for us. Which, in my personal opinion, I think we should be done with daylight saving times
Right.
anyway, because it messes up our natural rhythm within the body, and that takes quite a few people to adjust to it. So that has a negative side effect on its own anyway. Uh, when it comes to seasonal affective disorder, you could notice changes in your appetite, weight loss. You might not be participating in activities as much as we talked about because the sun's not out that much and it's colder, so you may not want to go outside. So you want to be careful of this, especially if you're the type of person who already suffers with depressive symptoms, because this can exacerbate.
But not only that, some people experience weight loss. Some people actually experience weight gain
You're right.
because you're always inside, so you tend to eat more.
Right.
And when your mold is lower, you just tend to, you know, that appetite mood, yeah, tomatoes. So when your mood is lower,
Yeah.
you tend to eat more
Yeah.
because you're trying to build up that energy. Because that's what food is. Food provides us with energy.
Yes, it does.
And so people tend to eat more during the winter holidays.
Well, we have a tendency that, we're still understanding our body.
Mm-hmm.
Some people already do, but for the most part, us as a whole, we're still understanding our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And eating actually makes us happy. However, we're not exactly eating the right foods to sustain that happiness within us. So you get that false sense of quick boost of energy, but it fades because you're not eating the right
Right.
foods. So then we have that tendency to overeat, or we even have that tendency to overeat because we're masking some of our depressive symptoms, and that's
Right.
how we cope with it through
Yeah.
eating. Let's not forget we have Thanksgiving holiday, which is based on eating.
Eating.
So
Yeah.
just eating all the way
Yeah.
around.
So there are a couple of things you want to be careful with around this winter season. Seasonal affective disorder is one, and it's now in the DSM-5, and basically it's just major depressive disorder is what we see it as, but
Pretty
they've
much
given a
depression.
name for it, so we're going to use that name. But then there's other things that you should be aware of because a lot of people are grieving during the holidays. A lot of people feel lonely because they're not in an intimate relationship. There are a lot of holidays. Well, there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas, and so people's
Year's.
New Year's,
Yeah.
and so moods begin to change because you feel lonely. You feel like, you know, especially around Christmas, if you don't have a significant other,
Yep.
and you see, all of this holiday seasonal stuff going on, people seem to kind of revert in themselves. So we need to be careful with that and make sure that if it's starting to affect you, and you're calling out to work, calling out to school, and you seem like you just feel less energetic, then you may need to seek professional help.
I mean, there's some other things too to keep in mind for individuals who are already in therapy or are aware that they have depression and may or may not be taking their medication. We want to talk about triggers. And so we're already talking about the holiday, we're already talking about daylight saving times, but then we're also talking about you had mentioned grief.
Mm-hmm.
For somebody who recently or has lost someone
Mm-hmm.
already, the holiday times is when those memories start to
Right.
come up, where, you know, I used to spend Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's with XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
and right now I miss them. And if you're not having that conversation with, you know, first and foremost yourself, you have to be honest about what's coming up for you. Speak to your loved ones who will give you that space for you to be able to share that. And then also, if it gets to a point where you said that it's affecting you at work or at school, then you need to seek help, because
Right.
it can become a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about is make sure you take care of your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
your mental wellness, so that it doesn't get to a point where it's a mental illness.
Right. This is especially important if you're an individual who's already experiencing depressive symptoms.
Yeah, because if you're experiencing depressive symptoms, you want to make sure that you're being careful to track your moods.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're somebody who has been diagnosed as having depression and you're on medication, it's still very important to track that, because sometimes your chemical levels may change, and it may start to metabolize the medicine that you're using. So you want to have that conversation with your psychiatrist or your primary care physician, just to make sure that everything is working properly. So track your moods, whether that be on paper, whether you journal it, whether you use apps, because there are apps out there, so please be mindful of that. You need to track your mood so that you have tangible data to present to your psychiatrist or your primary care physician about what's going on with you internally.
You want to make sure that you be very mindful during the winter holidays.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things that can occur to affect your mood. But we want to provide you guys with some tips as well. So one of the things that you need to make sure that you're doing is to plan some fun activities during the wintertime.
Yeah.
Definitely get out in the sun. Those days that the sun is out, get out in the sun. You need that vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Vitamin D definitely helps. You wanted to say
It
something?
does. It definitely helps. Oh, I was just gonna say, check the weather, weatherchannel.com, and see, like, if you get that rare peak. Depending on where you are, sometimes it might just have that off day where it's a little bit warmer. Go outside and take advantage of that. Go for a walk and increase those happy chemicals within your brain.
Right.
That's another thing that you can do.
Right. Take advantage of the sun on the days that the sun is out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very important. The sun, like we had mentioned earlier, provides that vitamin D. It's very healthy for you. You need that. Also, you want to make sure during the holiday time, as I talked about, enjoying sweets, you want to make sure that you're eating right. Serotonin levels that we talked about are increased from the gut. So if you're eating the proper foods, you will increase your serotonin levels.
Yeah. So those are just some of the things that we wanted to talk to you all about, so that you can be mindful. Mental wellness is extremely important.
Very important.
And a lot of times we don't pay attention to that during the winter holidays.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy planning for holidays,
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving, December, and you tend to stress yourself out a lot more, you know.
Let's talk about Black Friday. I mean, some people will get a little bit too hyped up on that, and they are really, to be quite honest, experiencing a rush from that adrenaline. So they're riding on that adrenaline wave, and then when it's over, they might even plummet.
Yeah.
You got it. And so if you're experiencing a little bit of depressive symptoms and then you get that boost from that adrenaline and then you plummet, please be careful.
Yeah. So these are just things that you want to be aware of. Make sure that you're, as Jules said, monitoring your moods. And if it is affecting you with work and school, definitely go and speak to someone. Some tips, again, sunlight, plan fun activities. Make sure you're exercising. Physical activity is important. You definitely want to, get the blood circulating. It helps you a lot. So physical activity. Jude, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say physical activities. We want to talk about healthy chemicals in the brain. That increases endorphins. So endorphins make you happy.
Yes.
So the more that you exercise and eat right, so you're increasing 2 happy chemicals in your brain, which lessens anxiety.
Yeah. So those are just a few tips. If you want any more tips, visit intake.tv. Click on our blog. You'll find an article there that'll give you more tips and explain more about the things that you need to become aware of during the winter holidays. But until we see you guys again, remember to continue to talk about mental health and how to make yours a priority.